It takes some monumental cojones to upend your game's story at the last possible second. Keep in mind the average title spans a good 15 hours of playtime, 30 to 50 plus depending on genre, and long into the hundreds for scores of RPGs. If you're gonna do the jazz-handed dance of, whoa, hold on there, all is not what it seems, you better stick the landing. Because for as much as first impressions count for a lot in life, in gaming you're often only as good as the last time we held the controller. Yes, we can forgive a particularly naff final boss or infuriating level if everything else is spot on, but it stands to reason that every time you're lost in a haze of nostalgia, those often divisive final moments will come screaming back into view. Many of gaming's most severe rug pulls actively reframe their entire narratives, and a developer can cripple any sense of replayability in minutes. I'm Scott from WhatCulture.com, and these are 10 video game plot twists that punished loyal fans. Number 10. Desmond must kill himself to save the world. Assassin's Creed 3. You could immediately feel the loss of Assassin's Creed creative director Patrice Désilets in AC3, as not only did the team fail to capitalize on AC2's Minerva twist by intelligently continuing the element of literally talking to gods in fiction, but Ubisoft just up and killed Desmond for no real reason. Because remember Desmond, the guy that looked to be the main character of a future present-day installment of the series? Someone who'd roll together an entire bloodline of assassins' best abilities into one powerhouse of skyscraper-hopping badassery? Yeah, I remember that guy too. But the reward that we got for sitting through hours upon hours of exposition and you're the one style dialogue across 5 games was nothing. The only reason there was a magical orb that contained an earth-ending god was apparently to kill Desmond and usher in the age of Assassin's Creed not knowing what the hell it was anymore. Thankfully, the series is finally back on track, or at least it's popular enough, but any sort of long-form storytelling, that is dead and buried. Number 9. Lucas Kane is the savior of mankind. Fahrenheit/Indigo Prophecy. How do you get from one of the coolest you just committed a murder but can't remember anything, what do you do style openings to a mid-game twist involving a messiah turn is beyond me. So it turns out that not only is the internet an actual being that can spring into life and kill people, but main man Lucas Kane isn't the mild-mannered guitar-playing dude that we played as for the opening hours. Instead, he's the linchpin in a timeless conflict between the Orange Clan, the Purple Clan, and the Invisibles. Because David Cage. As such, he completely randomly decides that he knows Kung Fu, dresses like a homeless dude / Danny Rand in the first episode of Iron Fist, and begins fighting demonic forces whilst balancing on TV antennas. None of this goes anywhere, remotely pays off, or feels satisfying. What a massive mess. Number 8. Snake is not the protagonist. Metal Gear Solid 2: Sons of Liberty. Possibly the most epic troll in gaming history, and one that if it happened now would see Kojima and co. boycotted or possibly sued for false advertising. It turned out that after scores of trailers and gameplay footage, Solid Snake would not be returning for the majority of Metal Gear Solid 2. Yes, Hideo Kojima was making a point about digital recreation and how Raiden's VR training made him a synthetic stand-in for Snake himself, thereby providing a new perspective on just how badass the hero of Shadow Moses really was, but man, if this didn't sting. Worst of all, if on the opening difficulty screen you told MGS2 that you'd never played a Metal Gear game before, it didn't even bother to give you Snake's opening tanker mission, which was already included with Zone of the Enders as one hell of a tease for the full game. Needless to say, it is testament to just how immaculate Sons of Liberty played, and the fact that we didn't all have social media to mount an offensive, that this installment survived. Number 7. Comstock is Booker / Booker kills Comstock. BioShock Infinite. BioShock Infinite had one hell of a rocky development, resulting in a final game that almost had a patchwork quilt of necessary content to make a quote-unquote BioShock game. Combat? Check. Philosophical chats on the nature of self and purpose? Check. Now where is the big twist? Enter the villain was you all along. Though we'd spent hours dissecting the existence of a flying faux utopian city being an alternate history take on where America might have gone had it not succumbed to pesky morality, instead we had to buy that Comstock was Booker, and the whole flying city thing kinda just came from him. Now this full revelation does come later in the game, but the part that really stands out is seeing Booker, a man who's been driven by a need to understand everything that's going on, just bash leader Comstock's head in the moment that he sees him. Obviously, this is in place to facilitate the ending, as having a person talk to themselves would have raised Booker's eyebrows a little, but the game literally takes control away from you as it cutscene kills the one guy that you are playing through to just have a conversation with. Number 6, ending on a cliffhanger. Halo 2 and 5. The twist so nice they did it twice. And when I say nice, I mean roundly despised by the community to the degree that no one ever talks about Halo 2 without mentioning the way that it ended. Now, maybe you weren't there at the time. I know that Halo 2 is a teenager at this point, so just know that despite spending its final third ramping up to a big old explosive-filled climax, Halo 2 then has Master Chief state that he's going to finish the fight, and the credits roll instead. The reality behind this was production related, as Bungie were forced to ship too early, bolting the necessary content back into Halo 3 for the big finish. However, that doesn't explain 343 Industries dropping the ball, because even though Halo 5's marketing was all about Master Chief versus Spartan Locke, and its twist revolved around Cortana being the villain, she is barely finishing a sentence as to why, before yet again some credits come barreling back in. Tune in next time for the answer to why you were playing in the first place. Maybe it's some sort of twisted marketing genius, but this also just kind of felt insulting. Number 5, you must die to save the world. Fallout 3. The original ending. Speaking of ending twists that went on to dominate their respective games for quite some time, Fallout 3's original climax had you entering a room filled with radiation that would inevitably kill you. What about the super mutant friend that I've got? I mean, look, I've got all of these rataways too. I can just eat a bunch of them and no, I've got to go in the room? Oh, okay. Such was the state of post-Fallout 3 memery, leading to Bethesda patching in a completely different ending that not only acknowledged the in-game context of how to survive radiation, but let you continue exploring once the credits had rolled. Credit, I guess, to Bethesda, it only took them 6 months to un-F themselves on this particular case, which is more than you can say about Fallout 76. Number 4, the Arkham Knight is Jason Todd. Batman Arkham Knight. 2015 was a strange old year when it came to straight up lying to the gaming populace. Not only did Halo 5's Master Chief / Spartan Locke showdown materialize as a 3-minute cutscene, but Rocksteady would answer their rabid fanbase who'd been trying to figure out the Arkham Knight's identity for months with the fact he was just Jason Todd. Now, this would have been all well and good if Rocksteady themselves weren't adamant that the Knight was a brand new character, routinely dropping hints that he could be anybody from Damian Wayne to a coked-up Alfred who grabbed all the Bat gadgets from the cupboard. In the end, they took the easy way out, answering one of gaming's most fun mysteries with a suggestion that your grandma could have figured out after 5 minutes on Google. Number 3, Scott Shelby is the Origami Killer, Heavy Rain. It's your boy David Cage once again, getting the nod for actually recovering quite a lot of footing after Fahrenheit's kung fu-filled madness, only to fall down when he decided to label one of the main characters as the killer. Since the beginning of the game, we'd been playing as Scott Shelby, a private detective summons to talk to the other Origami Killer victims' families, piecing the various chunks of evidence together as he goes. Though that then falls the F apart when it's revealed that he is the killer, meaning all those scenes where he was thinking aloud alone as to what to do next, he kinda already knew the answers, and all the thoughts that he had access to when it came to deducing things in his own mind somehow clouded the reality that he was chasing his own tail. It's all a bit random for the sake of a shock reveal, and that's a shame because, well, minus the voice acting, everything else was going so well. Number 2, you're not Big Boss. Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain. No, it wasn't just Halo reusing twists in 2015. Instead, Hideo Kojima got in on the action, reusing his already shaky MGS2 twist, swapping Venom Snake out and putting a random nobody in their place. It goes that thanks to internal problems at Konami resulting in whatever story madness Kojima had planned being cut, or left half-finished on a bonus disc anyway, Metal Gear Solid 5's finale reveals that the real big boss is off around the world doing various nefarious things for the future Metal Gear games in the timeline. You then, you're a medic, a completely crowbarred-in individual with a unique face that you could model, so you, the gamer/fan, are now kind of instrumental in the mythology. It's almost incredible, but all that stuff where the adverts talked about showing the downfall of Big Boss, or how this game would be the missing link, connecting the other titles together by explaining a former hero's descent into madness, that was all just forgotten about. Now, do not get me wrong, MGS5 is a phenomenally well-playing game, but for the fans who stuck by the series for literal decades, this was how it was all gonna end? I think the only thing left to do is raise our fist to the sky and shout, LIQUID! And number 1, everything with the Star Child, Mass Effect 3. Metal Gear Solid fanboys might have got all uppity about Kojima's attempt to put their literal presence into the game with that random medic, but Mass Effect 3 takes the cake for completely destroying a franchise in the process. I mean, yeah, sure, Andromeda would shovel more soil onto an already descending coffin, but the actual headshot execution, that began the second that we came face to face with this particular thing. Now, BioWare would release a free extended cut DLC to paper over the various gaping, gushing with blood wounds that the ending had opened up, but it was way too little, way too late. Finding out that all our past progress was worth nothing, that none of our companions would factor into the ending, that all the race relation fixing that we'd done didn't matter, and that the only thing left to do was pick from one of 3 endings that made no sense, well, there was nothing left to do other than sulk. Mass Effect, Game of Thrones, Star Wars' Skywalker Saga, so many epic, incredible journeys with endings that crumbled before our very eyes. The result in this case was EA being labeled the worst company in America by Consumerist after an overwhelming public vote, leaving Mass Effect to limp on and fall off a cliff altogether when Andromeda finally dropped. The first 2 games and the franchise's meticulous lore are still very much worthwhile, but I've never seen a few minutes of gameplay do so much damage in my entire gaming life.